I think so, because
That's how motor racing works.
it is when you're far away from from head office. But by the end of the year, head office prevailed, and they called the 7.4. They retired the 7.45, but as a champion car, and then Standard Group N began, and they moved across the 3.25.
You're still out winning races, fantastic. After all those years.
It is, and I think we're probably the most, with respect to everyone else, the most authentic team around in historics, because Alex Sepnish from Evolution 2 has been very famous for preparing BMWs for the last 30 years. We raced against each other in the olden days, and I was part of the BMW factory team at the time as Tony's first teammate. So, it's just great to be able to continue this history. It's a lovely car. It's a Group 1 car. It's a bus to drive with lots of power. That's exactly what Group 1 felt like. All these others are heavily modified, so it makes our win even more special.
And lovely to have Paolo involved in racing, a mean peddler in any make of motor car. We've got Datsuns and Fords all flying. There is Norman Poulter, his son, of course, Leroy Poulter, world karting champion, besides production car titles and everything else he's won. And his brother actually won the quad titles as well on those four-wheel motorcycles. As they come toward Joss Broom has now got Colin Clay. He's moved up ahead of Wayne Odendahl. Here comes Cindy Evans, Finney there on the inside of Mike O'Sullivan, that BM. That BM's done very well, did well in East London, and Mike brought it home in the top 6.
And Mike's really driving hard with that car as well, Roger. It's a well-built little car. Clive Massell's also behind the project, and really the guys have got the car going like a bomb.
They're absolutely so enthusiastic about that little BMW, and brings them good results now. They've got all the mechanical problems sorted out. Just further up the road, we got Joss Broom. He's under pressure, and Wayne Odendahl's trying to take on Colin Clay, who comes out once or twice a year to race the car. And in the distance, what have we got there, Francois?
That's Etienne van der Linde in the Skyline that his dad used to race, Roger. He had to start at the back of the grid after having some problems with the car. And Etienne is now working his way through. He started right at the back, and we're going to see a lot of fun with that car once he gets closer to the front.
And his father won 56 races in a row in that Skyline, very famous Skyline, now owned by Dick Sorensen and prepared for the... Oh, bit of damage there. Vasco Barbolini, look at the forensic coming down the road.
I just think he didn't put the bonnet clip in properly, Roger. With a surname like that, maybe he couldn't talk the word bonnet clip.
We've got 9 Ks in this race to go, and they're hard at it, these two BMWs, 3.5 litre, glorious sounding motor car. And they sending it round, coming off that shelf, that's what could be. And his car's going to start overheating, as Paolo's car. He's so close to the back of that car of Ulisson. He's driving very well, doesn't make it this time.
And they're both driving hard, Rogers. This is it. I mean, they're trying, but Etienne's closing. This is allowing Etienne to get closer and closer as well.
There he is.
In the Skyline, we can see he's getting there. Uli Zanne, of course, races that car in quite a lot of motorsport events in this country. Has also even raced it in the GT Challenge. Paolo races the BMW everywhere and every time he can.
They're two great enthusiasts and not mean peddlers. They really can get these cars flying around circuit. And look at the acceleration of the Batmobile. That's a famous car. Cindy Evans ahead of Mike O'Sullivan, and who have you got coming down the road?
Sherwood coming, it's being lapped, and then Alan Green just behind him in the Escort.
A beautiful little Escort. I mean, that's a little clean Escort, and he drives it well.
You can see that. I mean, wonderful shape of just a Mark 1 Escort, and we've got one of the
Patterson cars. That's Jeff Patterson coming through. He just locked the wheels. There's a man who did very well in the championship in his class last year in that Sirocco. Right, here comes the leader of the race, and it's Udi Sani, number 29, the Castrol BMW. And he's slowing down. Something's wrong with him. Oh, something wrong with the transmission, and off comes that Castrol skirt that he had on the front of the car as he comes to stop. And it's all clear roads for Paolo Cavalieri, or is it?
Well, look at Etienne was just with him, just behind that. I think when Paolo had to back out as Uli had a problem, it got Etienne a lot closer. And look at this, Etienne's going for it now, Roger. Let's see what happens. He's running up. Look at the crowd cheering him on. It's amazing. Paolo coming through. Let's see what happens. Etienne, where's that smoke? Oh dear. Oh no.
And his throttle stuck open there, and he went straight into the tyre wall. Gee whiz. And that's a historic car, that one. It's with a lot of fate attached to that. And
that's a throttle that stuck open, Roger. I mean,
he tried to turn the wheel, it locked the wheel, and off he went. Patterson's moving. Here's Alan Green. He's got a host of cars and loves racing this little blue Escort. It's such a clean one.
One of the Alphas coming through behind us, Roger, and just look at the whole gaggle of cars coming through here. Oh, hang on, here we've got a variation on the Swedish flick. Very interesting. First time I've actually seen that being done in a circuit race. There we go. Wonderful, Roger.
That's Theo van Vuren, a very capable little Datsun there. Oh, that's quite serious damage. That's body damage. I hope the engine hasn't been pushed back in that. Anyway, Etienne's all right in this one, and that's a man with a lot of experience. He wouldn't make mistakes like that, that's for sure. Right, he's on his way to the flag now. Very happy to be on his way to the flag. With a 5-second lead is Paolo Cavalieri, and behind him, who's he got? They're going to come into sight now. It should be Colin Clay, and it is. and just behind them will be Wayne Odendahl. Henny de Beer's got the flag, the welcoming checkers, and he comes through. Paolo Cavalieri to win it. Class A goes to him as well. Wayne Odendahl, Class B. Cindy Evans comes through in that runner. She is fantastic there. Cindy Evans, Finney, and Alan Green took Class D in that little blue Escort. Now for the Execuline Super Prix World Series for Formula Juniors. 10-lapper, 27 cars are lined up here. A few have been left in the garage, and Mark Amers Droz in the Brabhams on pole position, and a fraction of a second ahead there of Philip Buhofer from Switzerland. Marcus Musa next, Robert Longden and Chris Drake. All very close together. It's going to be over 10 laps. It's going to be exciting. A nice big packed field as away they go.
Somebody got a very good start at the back there, Roger. I can't quite see who, but that was excellent. I mean, there's some very good starts that happened.
And we've got Buhofer going into the front. He's got the yellow nose in his car. Then it's Marcus Musa on the inside, that car number 71. Coming up the middle there is number 85. That's John Chisholm from the UK. We've got Australians in here. We've got Americans. We've got Europeans. We've got the Brits. Brits basically started making most of these cars. And eventually there were over 80 manufacturers of these motor cars in the 50s and 60s, and really was the start of Formula One racing going to rear engine. And boy, he a little bit wobbly there is Robert Longden from the UK. Comes out to Zwartkops regularly once a year.
Look at this, Roger. I mean, the guys are all packed closely together. It's wonderful to see these cars. As we said before to people, this was, this spawned a whole bunch of Formula One drivers.
World champions, in fact.
World champions. They raced Formula Junior before they went into Formula One in years gone by. GP2 doesn't do this for Formula One today.
No, it doesn't.
Formula Junior used to do.
And the thing is, when they did race them, they didn't have these roll cages over the top of the car, so they're really low little motor cars. And it started, as we said, the rear engine revolution. We've also got front engine cars here. The main motor that was used was the Ford Anglia, because the 105 motor, and also Fiat were in there with some of these front engine cars. We picked those up a little bit later in the race. 78 goes through.
Paul Smith from the Lotus 22. I mean, he's having a big year. A lot of people that won't drive a green racing car, though, Roger, but I mean, he's giving...
Enos Island did, though. You remember he used to drive it. And coming up through the pack, he's got all the stars and stripes on his helmet. Is Doug Mockett. He's got the whole act together from America. We've got Dave Reed from Australia.
A wonderful Lotus number 8 there of Kim Schön as well. I mean, just a nice green of Lotus, Roger. That was one of the, still you hear the name Lotus. Robin Longden once again getting some coverage over there in the blue car.
And here's the leader.
This car is a Lola MK5. It has 4 cylinders. It has only 1000 cc.
Unbelievable, eh?
About 140 horsepower. But it is very light. It has only 400 kilogram, which makes it really fast.
It does too. Because these were ones originally when they came out, we had Lotus and Cooper. They turned them into Formula One cars. They had bigger engines.
This was the entry category before you went into Formula One. So Formula Junior was actually, you had to be good in Formula Junior, and when you were good, you could upgrade to Formula One if you have a sponsor.
You know what they also say about this type of racing? It's racing in Grand Prix style for the clubman, and really is this. It's close racing, single seat. You feel belted to that car close to the ground. You feel every bump on the track. And those little cars, narrow tires or not, handle very well. They're pretty neutral steering. Ooh, somebody
see how nicely they got. There was Don Fallon actually in the MRCF. It was getting a bit confused there. But I mean, the cars really, Roger, they're actually sitting on the track. I mean, they're not sliding on it. Once again, there's another picture of the Lotus as well, the number 8 car.
Lovely.
Wonderful car.
Absolutely wonderful cars. All started with the Coopers. They had the Strangolinis from Italy. They had the front engine car. As they just poured on through the sweep, they are very quick through the sweep. 16 comes through. That's Dave Reed from Australia. He's the main mover in Australia for Formula Junior racing. And the big thing about our circuits out here, they are at Zwartkops, they're going down to Cape Town, then on to East London. They just love the whole organisation that you get at Zwartkops and the shape of the circuit and the people, and it's informal, and they really do enjoy their racing.
But Roger, just look at this. I mean, look at that. It's a typical design of a race car, and you can see it's actually working. It's a relatively easy car to run. I think they're not highly complicated, which makes them, very different from the more modern cars of today.
I think they need to start a formula like this once again, really good. The Cooper's got that spine going over the back of the back bonnet. There's the Lotus again, as Francis says. It's got a sort of an Audi grille shape to the back of the car where the Hewland gearbox sticks out the back. 4-speed gearbox. And these guys are really racing, and they can afford to go around the world. They've been to Australia, New Zealand, all over Japan. They race in England, America. They have a wonderful time, these guys. There's the leader, Buhofer. That's Philip Buhofer, and he's going to make no mistakes about the particular. Just listen to the power of that car, and he gets it sideways.
He's driving that car, Roger. It's not just a a gentleman's parade.
Yeah.
The guys are actually racing these cars, and that's what makes it interesting. It's great to see that these cars of the past actually out on the circuit and actually being driven.
Well, this year we brought out 60 international entries. Some of them are motorcyclists. A lot were single-seaters because it is the golden jubilee of the World Formula Junior Series. I think we always thought it was the wrong name to call it Formula Junior. It was actually the Formula 2 because those are miniature Formula 1 cars of that age. And they're very quick, they're very dynamic, and brings a lot of memories back of the Colin Chapman Lotuses, of the Coopers.
I think it's time to start that sort of era again, actually to get more and more people into motor racing at a reasonable cost.
Well, that's what that formula is all about. It was conceived in the late 50s and went through to the early 60s. But it produced world champion Formula 1 drivers, John Surtees, for one, Denny Hume, Jim Clark. They're all big names that came out, and the whole generation of Formula 1 drivers, including our own Tony Maggs and John Love, and even Bobby Althoff raced juniors internationally and then came back to South Africa.
And we had John Love and all the others, Tony Maggs, they did well overseas. Right, and to go, we've got about 8 kilometres of this race to go, and there's that front engine car. Now, that's the man who puts the whole series together, and that is Duncan Rabriati, and he drives an Alexis. That was before the rear engine cars took hold. There's Doug Mockett. He's closing up on Longden in a better hurry. He's tucked down his little Lotus, and there's a Cooper behind him, as we said, started all this. They were simple cars, tubular cars with fiberglass bodies or aluminium bodies.
Aluminium bodies, Roger. And, they really are cars that look good. They actually still really, actually present a very good picture on the circuit.
Wonderful, nice. No wind tunnels to do these ones.
The only thing that looks maybe a little bit wrong are the modern helmets and Hans devices of today compared to the sort of cap and goggles of years gone by.
Do you think this is an American? Is Doug Mockett? You can't mistake him in number 22. He's closing on Robin Longden. Is Longden going to be able to hold him up? We've got a fight going on between the English and the Americans. Here's 71 Moose, and by the way, they're starting to close up on him too in the front. And it was helped, the preparation of that car was helped by Steve Humble down in Hart Motorsport down in Cape Town. And it's nice to see that involvement in this. Here he comes. It's Philip Buhofer's going to go to the line. First win for him on this tour of South Africa. This is all part of the World Series. They'll be finishing down in Cape Town, and they've had a wonderful time. They get the flag from Henny de Beer. So he's very happy, and he won it by 14 seconds. That's
he ran away with it, actually, Roger. The rest of the guys were very close together. I mean, they actually had a very close meeting.
And look at this, the others coming down to the line. 3 of them. 71 is Marcus Musa. Then it's Longden, and right on his tail he's got Doug Mockett. He's spent his time coming. He's a tall guy, as you can see. Spent his time coming up through the field and onto Robin Longden's tail. And then it was John Chisholm, Paul Smith, both from the UK, and Roger Eland from Australia. So first time in South Africa, Philip Buhofer, and a nice win in that Formula Junior.
Yeah, it's the first time I'm here. I'm very happy that it worked out so well. It's a very nice course. And
perfect for your cars, actually.
It's perfect for my car, yes.
And the passing is pretty easy too.
Oh, well,
you didn't know that.
In the beginning, I had quite a fight, but then after the third, fourth round, I started to get some distance, and I was quite secure.
There's going to be a traffic jam, as you see here at Zwartkops in the 1972 Trans Am historic production cars in classes E and F. Have a look there. Willie Hepburn on pole, not far behind. Steve Miller in a little mini, just got the car a couple of minutes before the race. And we've got Ben Morgan, who's not seen there. He'll start, as you see, right up near the front as well. He's in that Mustang. There's a new one, the blue one. It's Mark Totoy in the new Shelby Boss Mustang. 80 is Colin Ellison. Always gives a good account of himself. And we've got the 2 brothers racing. It's Mark racing in the blue Mustang. And then the Chevy engine Camaro is Jonathan Totoy. As you saw last week, he's flying those cars. Right, ready to go. It's Willie Hepburn on the left side. Listen to those motors.
There we go.
Oh, that's now we're talking motor race. There's just thunder all over Zwartkops. So Mark Totoy goes to third. He's got his brother on the inside as they get onto the brakes for the first hairpin. Who gets it? Ben, and then it's Mark, and then it's Jonathan. Colin Ellison sneaks on the inside. And Steve Miller is having his first test of this car just minutes after, as we say, it arrived at the circuit.
Correct. He did qualifying in it obviously the day before, and then had some hassles with it, Roger, and went back to the workshop and arrived just in time for the race.
Just in time is a good expression, because that's exactly what it was. He gets ahead of Ellison, then Ellison gives a good account of himself in that blue car. And there you are, Francois, in the Porsche, and so there's Philip Pontarsis going on the dirt.
I don't know what Fab Flip he was trying to do there, Roger. I think he got a bit mixed up, and but okay, he's recovering. You see Ken Rolfe in there as well. Look at Ben sliding that car around. I mean, this is a race.
And here's the two brothers, and getting black lines there, Francois. Oh man, that's wonderful stuff. And the little Mini, he's only got V8s ahead of him, by the way, the little Mini. But the secret there, I suppose, is the lightweight of the car.
Roger, it's a very light car, and it's also supercharged, which makes it go like a bomb.
Yeah.
It's actually a replica of a car that Dennis Nathan used to race many years ago at the Brunford circuit in the Free State. And Steve actually built that car. The Nathans actually built him the car and built a basic exact replica of a car that used to race in the early 70s.
Yeah, and you're closing up on it too. And there's Eugene Cose's in a Forenza. He piled the car up in the series last year. It's taken him a year to rebuild it, but he's back in a Forenza, and he used to be in a Fiat, and he's really sending it around the circuit very well. Back comes Mike O'Sullivan. Look at this for a traffic jam. We've got Wenzel Norman. We've got Pontarsis. There is a 240, the right number for a 240Z. On his outside is Philip Stein, the little RX2, saying, pass me on the side. It's a drag out of that tip. Here's the leader. Oh, look at that for spectacular. He's in front of the Zwartkops Owners Club members, and they are getting a show second. Now, listen to those V8s in action. Black lines, noise, V8s that come down. Ben is starting to line Willie up. He's starting to make Ben, you never discount him wherever he is in a race.
They're moving away slightly from the two Detroit brothers who are having their own private race here, Roger, and Steve Miller trying to stick on the back of the V8s. He's always interesting to watch.
Absolutely. He's only got, as we said, V8s ahead of him as they've started another lap and come down here. Tricky corner, this sweep at the end. You just touch the brakes and then throw it sideways and go around. Then you're on the way to the hairpin. And they sound lovely. Fords and General Motors, Fords and Chevys. And we've got the same thing in the front. There's Mike O'Sullivan, behind him Werner Vonk, or Willem Vonk maybe, Wenzel Norman, then we've got McLaughlin. There's an interesting car, number 71. That's the Beetle there of Louis Cludy. Look standard. It doesn't go standard.
No, well, it's just behind a Porsche, Roger.
Right, 2.5 laps ago. Lots of traffic, as you can see, as the leaders start making their way through. And Ben has that bonnet up there just to help cool it. It's a pretty hot day out here. And as he comes up, it's the secret here, and you know so well, Francois, being in this race, is to get through that traffic once you arrive at the tail end.
Actually, especially the first person as well, Roger, you've got to make the guys aware that you're there. But the historic guys are very good, Roger. The guys are used to, they get used to the guys lapping, and they actually do watch, and they indicate on which side you must pass. So hopefully, there's no shenanigans as a result.
Look at this. I mean, where would you come through? There's the Mercos, Selwyn Roberts. Look at this. And he comes, Ben sells him a dummy.
There we go. And Ben's actually managed to sneak one up the inside.
I didn't think Willie saw him coming on his left-hand side, expecting him to be behind him with all that traffic. But here we go. This is James Bennett. This time there's Tubby Bennett in that car. Then Selwyn Roberts Merck. And then we got the Mustang of Ben in the front. Still more traffic. It can still change. Still a few laps to go. No, in fact, we're on the last lap now, so I don't think Willie's got a chance of recovering from that. Here comes Ben. He normally drifts it around that sweep. But Willie's still giving chase big time.
No, they've still got a race, Roger. Let me tell you something. Willie's not going to give up on this one easily. And if Ben misjudges any of this traffic, Willie's going to be all over him.
Yeah, and that was the car built by Willie for Bekele Lupini of the Cars in Action magazine. Ellison comes through there. Here's Mike O'Sullivan coming through in the inside. He is loving this little BMW. He's always in the results. And it's so well prepared now, and Clive Massler just loves it too. The two of them go around South Africa relaxed and enjoying their motor racing. Ellison comes through. Here comes the Mike O'Sullivan car we've been talking about.
Just behind him there was Pierre de Waal in the Alpha. Was also out in the day in his Alpha having some fun.
We don't see much of Pierre de Waal during the year. We want to see more of him. Right, now this is into the last lap. This is it, and who's going to do it? And there's still traffic ahead, as you can see. How do you handle this, Francois? Where do you start passing these guys?
Roger, it's just a matter of watching them, seeing where they go. They guys know to stay on the line. You've got to drive off the line to go around them. And sometimes it helps to put your headlights on as well, just to warn them that you're on the way. But here, just behind the Detroit car here, that's the Mini. Very interesting car. That's the original Mini, the Jiv Giovannini, and Piet Vos is known, Piet Bredenhan.
Yeah.
But they actually raced in the 9 Hour in 1972.
And he's in the car.
And Piet has got the original car back. He bought it back. He's now just found the original engine, Roger, and he's actually putting it back in the car and going to race. Here goes Ken Rolfe in car number 21. He's showing us how to go to the dots.
As John McLaughlin goes into the countryside, the leader. Interesting that Leyland Mini Coupe, he's got a Leyland name, and it was that in those days.
Correct.
And Brian, his son's now back into Can-Am racing, I see. Right sideways, and Ben's painting Goodyear lines all over the circuit. It's going to be Ben Morgan. I don't think Willie can do it here. There's just one car here. It's McCaw coming in. Flags waiting. It's going to be Morgan Root. Hard man to beat in any make or motor car. Here he comes. Gets the flag, and Ben Morgan Root takes that race. It's Ben, Willie, and then comes Mark du Toit ahead of his brother Jonathan. They'll have words to say about that in the preparation. We're going to talk to their father about let's have some more power under the bonnet. Class E went to Wenzel Norman. Class F to Karel Voss. Well, I've got to congratulate you two guys on a great race. You can certainly still pedal. Boy, and it was close at the end, eh, Ben?
It was too close to call, yeah.
Yeah.
I must say, it gave me a lot of enjoyment to race against my old arch enemy and nemesis. And I don't know how many accolades I can give you, Willie, but it was wonderful racing against you. And I hope this is going to be the start of a new era of competition between us.
Definitely, Ben.
Yeah, but the big thing about you two, Willie's supposed to have retired now, but here he is. We reckon Willie will not retire 66 years old or not.
Roger, we've got to keep going to keep young. Ben came back because he was missing it.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And we're having fun again, and it's so good racing, Ben, because you know where he is, and we've been running it for many years.
The old, the new, the ups and every beat down. You know that it ain't okay if it ain't KO. KO TV on Supersport for the fights of your lives.
And in the second part of Rapid Motion Africa this week, we start with a big sports car in the World Sports Car Challenge event. Sports and GT cars, there's 17 of them. It's going to be over 8 laps, such a short, sharp sprint. And have a look at them. This is wonderful stuff coming onto the circuit. Wait until you see these beauties in action. And the grid for this shows that France Pretorius, I think, is going to be unbeaten in that 956 Sport. Bernie Talanis is going very well in that Mazda engine Tiga. Tony Martin's come up from Durban in the Cobra, and does he fly in that car? Here they come. It's going to be an 8-lapper. France Pretorius on the left. Look at that unique car. Lovely to see it. I was enjoy it because I don't know how long it's going to stay racing in the country. And there's the backdraft Cobra, built by Tony Martin. And this, funny enough, is the anniversary of 3 South Africans winning the Daytona 24-hour race. And Tony Martin, now in that Cobra, was one of them. Away from the line, it's France Pretorius. It's Bernie Talanis in the Tiga. Isn't that Mazda engine? Even with the sounds. And then he starts to have a flamethrower at the back when he lifts off going into corners. You don't want to get too close to that.
And then we've got Sean Grieve this time driving the magenta car. The nephew of John Grieve. Sean actually races Shelby's, having fun. We've got Dylan Miller in the beige-coloured car there in the light cream colour. That's the son of Steve Miller, the 16-year-old son. And he's there busy having a bit of a dice with Stefan Pusheves in the 911 SC, which actually has a bit more power than Dylan's car. And I think Dylan's just managed to jump in with the start, so we'll see what happened. Dylan always carries more corner speed than the other people. Stefan been around for a long time. I think he's been racing that car since just about the 1980s, Roger. I remember seeing results with him in that car for years. So Stefan's really been driving that car for a long time as well. And
anyway, he's come to the fore now, and have a look at the big tackies on that car. He's prepared it for this meeting. It's Tony Martin. Here they come. Franz Pretorius in the front. Bernie Talanis in 99. 00 is the Cobra of Martin. 24 is Sean Grieve. Here's Dr. David Ferry from Nelspruit. 12 is James Forbes in a Caterham. Looks very much like a Lotus. In fact, Caterham, as a dealer of Lotus, took over Lotus, I think, in the building of them.
Yes.
If I'm not mistaken.
Bernard Talon, it's great to see him out as well in that Tiga. He loves that car to bits, and he really drives it well, Roger. He's got it going now. He had a couple of problems in the 9-hour, the Lotus 7 going round there of James. Yeah, he's having with an apple on the back.
Yeah. The big thing also with Lotus, the people are very jealous of that register. If you haven't got even nut and bolt right, it's not a true Lotus. You know?
Correct. No,
they're very particular about that. Dave Ferry, and I mean those Porsches do all. He was the LTEC Porsche Challenge champion just 2 years ago. Veron Papas. Then we got Richard Westhuizen, and then we got Etienne. Is it Etienne?
No, it's Evert Buerta. Evert Buerta in the yellow car. He's also out for some fun in the sports and GT race.
And then Dylan Miller's there too. Well, there's a big fight going on between one Cobra and one very competent little Porsche Tigra. Those cars basically based on Formula Atlantic cars. They put a sports car body on a single-seater racing car. Here he comes. Dave Ferry looks at his mirrors, just full of different makes of cars, and one big roaring Cobra.
Those replicas are actually built by Tony Martin down in Durban, as we said earlier, Roger. I think they're a bit wider and a bit longer maybe than ours, but they're very competent motor cars that he actually builds and that he actually exports to the US as well.
He does. He's built 1,000 of those actually, and then he goes over to America's Tony, hires himself a Cobra and blows the Yanks off, which they're all thrilled about.
Of course, they really would enjoy it. But Veron Papa's coming through very nicely in this Tiga. It's running very strongly at this race meeting.
And he's done well in 3-hour races as well. Here comes number 81. And that's Rod Schaefer and his little loader. Look, these are touring ones, you can see that. They take them out on Sunday and go and run. They've got headlights on, they've got bigger mud guards by the look of it. And they really do have a wonderful time in their Lotus. X4 is Fred Alberts. It's got a Toyota motor in that one. As you can see, nice roll cage, got the headlights on, has a wonderful time. They handle like motorbikes, they get around corners so confident. We've got 9Ks of this race to go. Here comes Dylan Miller on his tail. There's Ken Rolfe. He was always handling the competition scene for the Porsche club.
And at least he hasn't gone sliding off the road and doing twisty twirlies like he did earlier. Dylan once agagen coming through here.
What model is his car there?
Dylan's car is a 1976 car, Roger.
And going back to Ken Rolfe's?
Ken Rolfe's is a 1970 911S.
And it still looks so modern. I mean, the designers really stayed with that basic shape. Here's another little touring car coming through, number 42.
Yeah, that's Jacques Lemeau, Roger, in his Toyota engine Lotus 7. So interesting to see how that little car progresses further down the field.
Well, Franz Pretorius, look at that flamethrower coming out of the back of that Tigra that Bernie Talanis. The lead at the moment is just on 16 seconds that Franz Pretorius is ahead of the others in that car. So that's the order there with Bernie Talanis second. As Ken Rolfe dances up to the top. There's the leader. He's going to be on his way down to the flag now. What a competent car. It passes left, right, anywhere you like to go. Doesn't make a fuss. Hardly ever gets into a slide. And that little 914 Porsche actually is
Devin Delbach in his 9146. It was the first time that car's out. Good to see him out in a car again. He hasn't been racing for a while. But this Ken Rolfe, Dylan Miller dice also seems to be developing, quite a bit, because Ken's now got ahead of Dylan, and I'm pretty sure Dylan's going to try and take that position.
I'd say this was basically so as a Volkswagen, that car. It wasn't really a Porsche, was it, that 914?
Yeah, it was one of those cooperative things, Roger, that they did, and you could buy it with a 2-litre, I think, VW motor. Porsche then did sell a version of the 9146, which then actually did have the 6-cylinder motor from the 911T fitted.
And it's got the motor at the back as well.
Correct.
Right, so Ken is giving a competent performance in the race. That's in the Gulf colours. Here comes the leader now. Just a lap and about 400 metres to go. He hasn't put a wheel wrong. It's just a fantastic motor car. And he's talking about, as we say, retiring that car. Do you think it's going to retire here, Franz?
I don't know, Roger. I mean, France has said so, but we'll have to wait and see what he decides to do eventually. He has spoken maybe about sending the car overseas to do the historic Le Mans as well. Evert Buerta really trying to get up the inside of Dave Ferry, but I think he was taking a bit too much curb there to actually get past at that point. It'll be interesting to see how that pans out. Tony Martin, 00 with a little aerial over there sticking out. He's talking to his pit crew, and they're telling him that there's about a lap left to go, and Tony hurtling down here. Tony really wanted to try and race the 956, because last year in Cape Town he managed to beat it, but I mean this year the 956 is just in a class of its own.
Big deep V8 as he comes through. He's into his last lap. Big thing he needs in that car is the fuel gauge, because he tends to run out of fuel or not know his fuel position in that big V8 engined Cobra. It's just a drag race. Dave Ferry's got it.
No, well, he's got a much more powerful engine, Roger. I think he's got a 3.5-litre engine in that car versus Evert's 2.8. So Dave's car really is a very, very quick piece of machinery.
Very quick piece of machinery. He comes from Nelspruit, as we say. Well, not much left in this race now. It's going to be Frans Pretorius to win it. Here he comes. One corner to go down. He can take it easy to the line. And there's the Veron Pappas car. He's been lapped. He's just not too far behind him. He comes to get the flag. It's Frans Pretorius wins this race ahead of Bernie Tolanas in the Tiger, the Mazda engine Tiger. Then it is Tony Martin comes through in third position ahead of James Ford. Very good in the Cape. Good for Sean Grieve in fifth spot, and then Russell Westhuizen in the backcross Cobra was in sixth position.
So they now have a 9-lap advantage.
Well, in 1984, 3 South Africans, virtually unknown in America, went to the Daytona Speedway in Florida to compete in the Daytona 24 race in the Creepy Crawley March. And they were Sarl van der Merwe, Tony Martin and Graham Duxbury. Here's South African motorsport history today, first week in February 2009, and 25 years